Well, you know, you assume that somebody in that position. Yeah, okay. You win. You win. Stop there. Stop while I'm behind.
When things are wrong, I'll be by your side. Even when you want to cry.
Stop it. Welcome to the Naked Apple. And a special welcome to our wildly unprepared friend, James.
Thank you for having me.
James, did we give you any prep beforehand for this?
An invite.
Yes.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Well, since it's such a slow news week, we thought, let's bring James in and we'll
Absolutely nothing
talk
has
about like
happened
our favorite Disney character
at
or
all
something
in the
you know,
last
off
week.
the cuff.
I like slow.
Nothing
Going
on.
has happened. Oh, wow.
I think so we can have a better idea of the nothingness that is going on. We should probably start with a great, hearty, good laugh from the vitamin B.
Welcome to your Vitamin B. We have the newses for you today. All of them.
All of them.
Going all the way back, we have a wonderful tidbit of news as Goliath claims he only lost because he fought David on a slightly sloped surface. The verdict is in. We now know exactly what happened.
That all makes sense.
In other news, nothing we can do now, sighs Secret Service after assassin climbs on modestly sloped roof. On a slightly related tangent, Mythbusters has once again proved that you actually can go anywhere as long as you carry a ladder under your arm. Your favorite presidential candidate, Trump, is once again indicted for inciting assassination attempt. Who'd have thought?
Yep. He had it coming, really.
Who would have thought? CNN headline, clumsy Trump hits head on bullet.
Tripped right into it.
Tripped right into it. Tripped right into it. In other news, Secret Service announces they're going to beef up Trump's security with a squad of blind midgets.
Seems a bit excessive.
It is. It is a big...
A bit
excessive.
excessive.
Bit excessive. Nobody deserves calling in the dwarves.
It's a little too much.
It's a little too much. Just short of perfect, but little too much. Democrat leaders make tough decision to place Biden on hospice following COVID diagnosis. In the presidential race, we are happy to announce that Biden's popularity has skyrocketed after he has announced Trump is his VP.
That's right. That happened.
Trump's VP, J.D. Vance, is horrified to learn that after his nomination, he must now use Truth Social.
That is the worst crime.
So is. And this has been your Vitamin B. is such a great stinger.
It's awesome.
I'm being exposed to new animations. I've only ever seen or listened to you guys on Podbean,
Oh, yeah.
so I don't get any of the visuals. So
It's a little different when you can see, huh?
That's part of why I pulled it up. I thought, he's probably never
He's
seen
probably
this.
never actually watched us on Rumble or YouTube. The animation alone for that is just worth it.
It took
Just-
me minutes of time to figure that.
He only had to record himself singing that song 5 times to get it right.
yeah, that was another.
Actually, I had to record myself however many episodes we've done with the vitamin B before I finally just pulled it.
I could just overlay myself into this, and then I don't have to do it every single time by myself.
I don't have to do layers. I can just be lazy.
Just be lazy.
Laziness is spawn of ingenuity.
You call it lazy, I call it efficient.
It's true. It's all about mindset, really.
It is. It really is. So what do we got on the docket today, Trev?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's like I
That's
said.
it. It's the end of the show.
Slow.
We can outro now.
You know, we're in the heat of election season. RNC convention's going on. There's nothing really to talk about at all. At all.
At all.
And if you feel, just if I may take a moment, if you feel like your pathetic excuse for why your agency is pathetic needs redemption, you can check out Redemption Tactical, where they might have something that can help you on a roof.
Redemption? Your promotion of this company is just spot on.
It needs redemption.
It needs redemption. It does. Redemption Tactical. For all your tactical needs.
Which may or may not include, like I said, rooftop gear to keep you safe on a slopey roof.
Yes.
It's a
Or
little
black sunglasses and a nice suit so that you can look tactical when you're not able to put your gun away in its holster properly. That's not a reference to anything.
Melissa McCarthy bodysuit not included.
Wow. That was low and accurate.
But I feel redeemed.
What you said was rude, accurate, and uncalled for.
It was very called for.
James has no idea what we're talking about.
I'm happy to nod my head.
Just smile and wave, boys.
Smile and
wave.
I'm sure that we have something in here that will enlighten you.
Oh, yes. Yes, James won't be totally in the dark. Most of the stuff that I've pulled is stuff that have been shared back and forth between myself and you, as well as the group chat with Bernie and all that stuff that I still need to add you to because...
Seriously. Group chat with Bernie, and I'm still not a part of it.
What am I doing?
And when you say Bernie, that's the one I'm involved in?
Yes.
Okay. Needed to clarify.
He's a quick one, Mr. Grinch.
James has been allowed to partake, but I am not allowed to partake. What is this?
Yes.
Privileged. All right, where are we starting at, Trev?
Well, I mean, if we had to sum up the nothing burger that was this week, it would sound a little something like this.
What the hell is even that?
Correct. So, to kick things off, let's see if I can do this. I was thinking, we got a couple of Coxie stories. We got a couple other stories. Biden is having a major phone call over the weekend. That's probably going to be the end of him. Nope. This is where we kick it off.
Take a look at what happened.
Move his chair. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move. Go.
Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stair. Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready.
We ready?
Down. Down.
Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
Down. We're good to move.
Let's move. Let's move.
We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head.
Let me get my shoes on.
So we gotta move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Watch out.
Wait.
Fight. There you go. Donald Trump literally dodged a bullet. And that's the news. That's everything. Not just that video is everything, but that's been the news all weekend, as I'm sure anybody who pays any attention at all to any kind of social media is aware. That being said, even so, in the first few minutes of this breaking out, and I saw that video, immediately I was pissed off. Not necessarily because somebody shot at the president, who shot the president, anything like that, but because the glaring issue that is now becoming the news story out of this is the Secret Service. It took them a hot minute in that kind of situation. It took them a while to actually get to the president after the first shot was fired.
Yeah.
And then when they did get to him, you found out that, so Secret Service, I can't remember the exact terminology they use, but the agents that are immediately next to the president are supposed to be basically the biggest agents.
Yes, allegedly.
Because they have to be able to not only shield the president, but also pick him up and get him out.
Yes.
Because once a situation starts to happen, the president of the United States is no longer in control of the situation. Secret Service is in control of the situation. Even though he's the commander-in-chief, blah, 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 the job of the Secret Service is to keep him safe.
Yeah.
And so a couple of ladies are there as the inner circle of Trump's Secret Service team, and they barely come up to his chest.
Yes, but they were bigger than everybody else.
The girth is something. However, the head is kind of vital.
Allegedly.
So I've been told.
Allegedly.
MSNBC might think otherwise because they don't have any brains in those heads anyway. But,
You know, you're actually more likely to survive getting shot in the head than you are to survive getting shot in the chest.
Well, I mean, it's just your heart. It's where all the blood flows.
Well, and your skull is actually just thick enough that a lot and angled just right. So a lot of times when you get shot in the head, the bullets ricochet. They glance off.
A better chance of ricochet.
A better chance,
than
yes.
a shot to the chest.
The chance still isn't high, but it exists. And that's important.
The odds of being beat to death by penguins dressed in fedoras
is
low.
not big.
It's low, but it's never zero. And then the third thing, at probably the most badass moment Trump has ever had of standing after getting shot in the ear, we now know. But basically after being shot at, to stand up, pump his fist in the air and yell, fight, fight, fight to the crowd. Very commander-esque of someone that's in control of themselves and realizes that the people that are following him needs to make sure that their commander, their leader, is okay. The people that they're looking up to, the people they are there for, he has the wherewithal to recognize, I need to do something to let people know I'm okay. And possibly even the last message he thinks he needs to let people know is to fight.
Yeah.
Because I am almost certain he did not know the full extent of his injuries in that moment.
Straight adrenaline.
Yeah. So, in that moment should never have happened. Because, again, Secret Service should have
Not dropped the ball multiple times.
picked him up and carried him out. Oh, my shoes, my shoes. Sorry, Mr. President, we'll get you some new shoes. We need to get you out of here. Even though you could hear, shoot her down, shoot her down. How do you know? How do you know there's not another one
Yeah.
or anything like that?
Well, and as somebody who has had a few traumatic injuries, couple of concussions and such, when you're the one that's injured in there, you're usually not the one thinking the most clearly.
They're not the ones,
Just saying.
generally speaking,
You
don't let them bark orders.
Yes. and even if it's not a severe injury, if it's a traumatic experience like that, your brain chemistry often is not copacetic to making a clear, concise. Like, that's why he was focusing on the shoes.
Reason
You know.
is thrown out the window.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because it was something.
It's fight or flight.
Well, and it's even more than that. It's a type of compartmentalization. So it's like something happened, and especially somebody like Trump, it's completely out of his control. Mm-hmm. So then the next thing is seize back control. So what can he take control of? I want my shoes.
I need to get my shoes on. Yeah.
You know, that's the next thing he can take control of. So that's what his brain latches to try to get him back to functioning. Mm-hmm. You know, and in a situation like that, sometimes that's not always the best thing to let the traumatized do.
Suboptimal. At times.
Suboptimal, yes. Yeah. You know, and you can train that out of somebody. The military does that.
Secret Service
Is supposed to do that. You know, things like that. They're supposed to help train that out of them. But like I've told numerous people multiple times when stuff like this has happened, is like, you really never know how somebody's going to react until something like that happens. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't matter how much training you have no idea how you're going to react in a given situation until you're actually in the given situation. You can talk a big game all you want. You never actually know how you're going to react in a situation until you're in the situation.
Yeah. And the training and all that can help.
It can help, yes, and it does help.
Because
It
then
helps
it's in
immensely.
your mind somewhere, oh, when this happens, I need to do this.
Yes, exactly, and it helps immensely. Because then the seizing control, it actually training and stuff like that helps. It is helped by that
Helps
that fail-safe in your brain.
Helps refocus. Yeah.
Because what your brain latches to re-seize that control is the training. Mm-hmm. You know, because you've trained to do this, and this.
Should be the training.
Exactly. Should be the training. And so then when something like that occurs, it makes it a more likely chance that your brain will latch to, oh, I know how to handle this.
Uh-huh.
Because I've trained it. I've trained the draw. I've trained, you know, the duck and cover. I've trained whatever X response that is needed. If you've trained it, your body has a tool to latch to. Whereas if you've never trained it, you latch to stuff like my shoes. My shoes. Let me get my shoes.
My shoes.
Let me get my shoes.
Yes. And the fourth thing, to your point, you could hear the female Secret Service agent, one of them, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Was it the one that was hiding behind the president?
I think so. In another angle, you can see the one that comes up behind him.
Yes.
After they're all huddled together, you can see her just duck down.
Yeah.
I mean, so she's had some training, but it didn't kick in. It took her a long time for that training to actually kick in of what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, it's
Secret Service stuff. Go.
you never know how you're actually going to respond until you're in the situation. Mm-hmm. You know,
So-
and
Yeah.
it's interesting for sure.
And that's just the first minute 40 seconds of information we had off of this thing.
My gosh.
Just that.
Yeah. Did you see any of this coverage, James?
Take a look at what happened.
Stop it.
What are you doing?
Moving my mouse and apparently
Moving my
it
mouse.
just clicked.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So this was actually the first time that I was exposed to the audio as clear. My first thought was, unfortunately, we caught more audio of "Get My Shoes" than the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut the mic. They realized, oh, the mic's still on. We should probably turn that off.
Oh,
And
really?
Secret
Okay.
Service is
Yeah.
barking instructions.
But just to kind of echo your guys' point, and whenever I'm talking to my students about like exposure to high stress situations, I usually preface or safety net myself with stating, this is me trying to sound smarter than I actually am. But you guys, I'm almost going to copy and paste you. Like, you never know how you're going to react until you're actually in
Yeah.
the situation, right? Until the high levels of stress you're exposed to. So what we try to do is we try to imitate those levels of stress in SimLab. So you'll actually have more of a reactive response than, I suppose, like even a cognitive. But
I guess we should clarify. We've had James on before.
I've nearly forgotten about that. Yeah.
It's been a
Yeah,
long
it's been
time.
a long time.
But he's a little older and supposedly wiser now.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. He's got a piece of paper that says he's wiser.
I haven't put any perk points into those, so any level up I get is
But he is in the medical field, nursing and stuff like that, right?
the short answer is a nurse, correct?
Yes, the short answer.
Sure. It's yours.
Yes. But in part of that, he's teaching new students and all that stuff at the community colleges and things around. So yeah, that's what he's talking about with teaching students. So when a patient is coding, you can go through all kinds of exercises and whatever. Hey, the patient's coding. What do you do?
Definitely.
And they're like, and it's easy in a calm environment. Okay, your patient has XYZ and they're coding. So, oh, well, then I need to do blah, blah, blah.
Because you actually don't have the literal like life or death on the line. So it's a lot easier to think through the processes.
Do you ever, or have you ever been in a thing where, like on TV, they basically seems like they have a boot camp for the students, where they just start yelling at the students, like to try to put some kind of pressure on them
Are
to
we
help
referring?
them make a decision. So
Are we referring to like nursing or like military?
nursing.
Nursing. Yeah.
No.
Never
has to
start
be-
yelling at the students.
So
snap at them.
Hollywood isn't real? What?
Well, it's funny actually. Today we had a sim lab with actual live actors from the theater department, and one of the actors' goal was to be rude and condescending, just to see at what point they would intervene and be like, "Hey, this isn't appropriate." So, to your point, yes, we did expose them to a little bit more stress than you would get with like a mannequin, but it was interesting how they just nod their heads to how they're being inflicted with abuse, because they didn't really know how to
React.
appropriately de-escalate situations.
So they need to watch House more, is what you're saying.
No, that is.
I don't even know because I've never seen an episode. So. I hear in those shows like the doctors walk the patients, which isn't true.
Yeah, House is a fun one. Mm-hmm. He's a very curmudgeonly old man who just kind of doesn't give a rip about anything.
And he's right, and he knows he's right.
He's right, and he knows he's right, and everybody else is wrong. And it's very interesting.
And when a patient's being rude and
medical
condescending,
show.
He just tells him, "Okay, die," and walks
and
away.
walks away. Yeah, pretty much. Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was your initial reaction on this was the audio. What other thoughts and stuff were you taking away from it?
Well, to show a little bit of understanding to the Secret Service, not to be completely in their corner, but to understand like that high situation, the high stress situation. To echo your points again, we really don't know how they're going to react. So I do try and throw a bone their way in that regard, but it could speak to the point that their training was minimal, that they really didn't have any.
Right.
Well, and from my understanding, the Secret Service isn't supposed to be like new agents that are trained on site. It's supposed to be comprised of agents and military personnel that have proven themselves already in the field.
You've had experience under
Correct.
stress, which may or may not have included being shot at.
Yeah.
So those ladies weren't shadowing that day?
Apparently.
And part of what they do too. So Secret Service is under the Treasury technically, and so they handle all the a lot of the money laundering or money printing, fake stuff like that.
Same difference.
Yeah.
The government's money laundering.
So they have agents all across the United States, and a lot of them are desk agents and just handling crimes like that. But then there's the ones that are actually security detail. And whenever they go to a different state, they sometimes pull those desk agents to assist with security. I don't know if that's what happened here exactly, and they had way too many desk agents.
But the ones that are actually on presidential detail are supposed to be allegedly
Dedicated.
supposed to be
Yeah.
specifically ones that have had field experience in high stress situations.
Yes.
So
Supposedly.
and it is one of many glaring deficiencies in the security plan at the event.
Yeah.
If you go through and break things down, there's a lot of really glaring deficiencies that crop up.
Yeah. And it took, so immediately the main focus started going towards, who is the shooter, what's going on, blah, 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 all the regular stuff, because you got to start somewhere, and usually the culprit is the place to start. Well, nobody knew anything about the shooter. He's apparently the only 20-year-old in the United States that does not have a social media presence. And somehow knew how to make bombs without looking up how to make bombs. Because they found bombs in the van, but there's no information on his phone. That took them a while to actually get into the phone. There's no information on his phone or his computers or anything of him searching for how do I make a bomb with a remote detonator thing. And there's nothing in his search history for that. I'm sure it's fine. Sure it's fine. Sure it's nothing. Probably. But it took less than 24 hours for ABC to figure out why this all came to be. And it goes a little something. Oh my goodness. Like this. If I could. If I can.
Can you?
I can't.
Well, it's also really interesting to note that this is the first shooting in a long time that I've heard of where the shooter was not on an FBI watch list prior to committing the crime.
Well.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. About that. Something I saw coming in to record tonight that,
Might put the lie to that, huh?
Anyways, ABC figured out why this came to be.
President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well. Well, absolutely, Jordan.
Oh.
We were just looking back.
It's Trump's fault that he got shot at.
Things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. He said he...
Context for that last one she's talking about. China. He was talking about the EVs.
Auto. Yeah, it was the auto industry.
The auto industry and China. He said it was going to be a bloodbath in the auto industry if nothing was done about the trade with China.
I mean... out of context rhetoric is out of context rhetoric. Like
they've never done that before with Trump.
Just because somebody makes an observation, which is, I mean, all of those statements. Really, if you look at the state of our country, it's not a logical leap for any of those statements.
No, absolutely not.
But stating it out loud means he's inciting.
Yeah, it's going to be destructive for our country if these indictments go. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because half the country firmly believes it's all, pun intended, trumped up charges.
Yeah. Well, and
to keep him from becoming president.
And not only that, but the precedent that it sets to charge a former president with these things that are ridiculous, to be 100% honest.
Right.
Like... It's crazy, is what it is.
Well, Trump and his followers are partially responsible for this violent rhetoric.
Victim shaming?
So,
the ABC is resorting to victim shaming now?
Donald Trump's fault that he was pointing out that, hey, the standards that this country was founded on are being picked apart piece by piece while they are politically... I
want you to replace Trump in everything they said with a random rape victim and tell me what that sounds like.
She was asking for it, the way she dressed.
She incited it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like, really?
Well, that you can't do that. That's comparing apples and oranges. No, sweetheart.
No,
that's just
sweetheart.
peeling off the layers of the apple.
Yeah. Yeah, my dear sweet summer child.
That is a naked apple right there. Anyways, here's a montage. This was made a few years ago of Democrats definitely not inciting any kind of violence.
No.
None at all.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized.
As he's talking to a white man.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
This way. That's it right there. Pull it up.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Take a look at what happened.
This was added to it.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
They don't have any other angles to the.
Oh, there's
there's
angles. I don't remember if I actually pulled
some of the other ones.
Some of the other ones for this or not.
I love how where's John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
Right.
They asked for John Wilkes Booth and they got instead retardy Oswald.
How do you know America is back? We've got a new nickname for the shooter, and it's Retardy Oswald.
It's just saying.
But yes, I do have other angles. We've got a clip here that's the multiple angles all happening all at once.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If you blame Trump for January 6th, you have to blame Biden and all of the people in that video for the assassination attempt on Trump.
And all of the news outlets with their articles, literally.
And all of the news, yeah, all of it.
Bringing in a Fourth Reich. All those kinds of references.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was Nancy Pelosi just a couple of weeks ago said something to the effect of, this is not a normal election. We have to get rid of Trump any means possible. Excuse me? Excuse me?
Wait.
Pardon me, young man. Excuse the shit out of my goddamn French, but did you just threaten me?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting what Trump has done to people over the years. It's like Morning Joe, for example, on MSNBC. Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, they used to be buddy-buddy with Donald Trump back in 2016, 2015. They invited him to their wedding, actually, even. He was a guest of honor at their wedding. Laughed with him, joked with him, softball questions during his campaign. Then he won. And then they weren't friends with him anymore. To the point where Morning Joe was pulled from the air on Monday because of the Trump shooting. Why? Was it Trump's rhetoric that got them kicked off of the air? No.
No, it was their own rhetoric.
It was their own rhetoric and the guests that they bring on. And what's even better is when they were put back on the air on Tuesday, they were not happy.
They don't look happy.
Mika and Joe, because Joe started off by basically saying, if they try to pull that on us again, we quit. Okay, nobody watches your show anyway.
I was going to say, I didn't even know this show existed until this article.
My favorite nickname for their show is Morning Cup of Postum. Yeah. A person familiar with the matter told CNN that the decision was made to avoid a scenario in which one of the show's stable of 24 guests might make an inappropriate comment on live television that could be used to assail the program and network as a whole. Given the breaking news nature of the story, the person said it made more sense to continue airing rolling breaking news coverage in the fraught political movement.
Stable of 24 guests? Do they keep them on site like horses? Like, is that a media term? I've never heard that before, but that's hilarious.
Hey, stall 4, bring him out.
All right, who's betting on the ponies today?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting. It's very
Interesting, for sure.
Here's a montage. Now we're getting back to Secret Service. So there's one thing that's annoying with this is it's something we should have tons of information about already because it's been 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And we still basically know nothing officially other than the roof was too sloped, too slopey to post a sniper.
It's a very
on.
slopey roof, okay?
The slopiest.
As opposed to the other roofs that were also sloped that we
Secret
put people
Service
on.
tells me the roof was slopey.
Might
The
have
slopiest, okay.
Might have had the most slopey roof we've ever seen. Who knows? That's what I've been told.
And if you look at it, it's got quite a slope there.
I don't know, but people tell me it's slopey.
You know, these are the best agents.
Like
the best.
Like Biden's career, it's just one giant slope.
Just one giant slope. It's going down.
It's
Okay.
going down. That was good. Thank you. I'm glad I have your approval.
He was almost shot and someone died. Why are you doing all this? Because, you know, that's what Americans do. We make fun of things that need to be made fun of, like the Secret Service.
And Retardy Oswald.
And yes, it is very sad that the one guy died, but he died a hero. I can't remember his name. Dove on his family as soon as the shots rung out and he got hit.
You don't remember his name? Do you not have an article here about him?
No. Didn't think it would come up.
You should have.
I know he's a firefighter.
He was a retired fire police chief.
Just turned 50. Biden called his wife, and his wife said, "Don't call me." No, I don't want your phone call. Trump called, and she talked to him for quite a while.
His name was Corey.
Corey. There you go.
Corey Comparator.
And if I remember right, there's a GoFundMe set up for the victims.
Several of them, yeah.
And
I know
as of a couple days ago, it was over $3 million with Trump and Daily Wire and all these conservative big heads, Musk and others donating millions of dollars to it.
Yeah. I believe it was actually Spike Cohen that set it up, if I remember correctly. Nice. He was the Libertarian VP candidate last time.
Nice. Yeah. So this little video is a side-by-side montage of multiple angles showing, at least for a couple minutes leading up to the shots fired, of what was happening. And it goes a little something like this.
Even we do this job, I wouldn't even be doing this. I think it's a beautiful place with the gorgeous ocean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
That is, in fact, the slopiest roof.
So slopey.
So happening? So slopey, it's almost flat.
Because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look. There he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people.
Trying to get police attention.
We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
So, another thing that Secret Service does, supposed to do, is the slightest whiff of a threat, the candidate is no longer on stage. The VIP is no longer on stage. Or never comes out to the stage until all clear is given. And they could make up some excuse of they're having technical issues, anything like that. Or he's in the middle of another interview. He's trying to wrap it up. They can make up anything to keep the candidate, the VIP, from showing up, from being on stage, if they think there's a valid threat or even a whiff of a threat to look at. And in this case, they're trying to get the police that are nearby, like, hey, there's a guy on the roof there. The police would radio into whoever they're communicating with, who would then relay it to Secret Service.
Have you seen the map of
Yes.
this area?
Yes.
there are literally 2 buildings.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is where the Secret Service snipers are. The other one's where the gunman was.
Yeah.
How do you not secure 2 buildings?
Especially when, again,
3. There's technically one on the other side of the lake right there that's slightly further than the one the gunman was on.
Again, the proper protocol for Secret Service is they go to the event weeks beforehand. They go to the location weeks ahead, sometimes months ahead, so they can survey the area and figure out where the threats are going to be. And I have a feeling that if you're standing in the middle of a field, you would recognize a building within 150 yards, probably not a place you want to leave wide open. I feel like that would be the assessment. Anyway.
It's much tougher than it happened. We had the strongest border ever. In recorded history, we had the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, wow.
That was a stab at Biden.
You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart.
Okay, something to note here. Because this will come up later with the last article we have. One thing that Trump does is he never turns his head. He never just like looks to the left, looks to the right. He turns his body to the left and to the right. Mm-hmm. So that's Trump's body language. He always makes sure he's always sure to face whoever he's talking to. Even when he's talking into a singular microphone to a crowd, he'll lean to one side of the mic and look to one side. He'll lean to the other side to look to the left. And he goes off prompter quite a bit, which isn't abnormal. What is abnormal, though, is having a visual aid that he's looking at. That's something that he has never done before. And it's because of this visual aid that he has to actually turn his head to look. And that's how the shooter missed. Well, he hit him, but yeah.
But he missed.
Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit over that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that says,
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
We got breaking news. Coming in. Shots fired. Seems to be shots fired at the Trump rally. Is he okay?
This is something else that's been brought up. So did you notice the angle on this big one on the right? So these stands are to Trump's right. And he was shot in the right ear from the right.
Yeah.
How is a guy in this upper left corner of the stands, when you're facing the stands, how was he hit? And this is the Corey?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is him. This is where he was at.
Yeah. So if you look at the map, the trajectory angle where he was sitting, so those stands are kind of canted on the right.
Uh-huh.
So the shot actually was coming across. So if you're looking at it like it's a square like this, right?
Right.
So the shot was coming diagonal across like this, and his seat was right here.
Right.
So the shooter was literally shooting over those stands at Trump.
Right.
That's how the dude got hit.
Yeah.
Because he was in direct line of fire.
Yeah, and part of the point of stands like this is again Secret Service stuff, is behind the speaker is a huge vulnerable point.
Yeah.
And so they put stands up like this, especially in a field, to conceal the VIP as he's speaking.
Yeah.
So then it's not a direct line of sight and all that stuff. So the stands aren't just for people to sit in. It's
and then
actually for protection.
So the other building is directly behind those stands that are directly behind the stage. And there's technically 3 roofs on those buildings.
So yeah, the building's right over here somewhere.
Yeah. So, and 2 of those roofs, the 2 outside roofs had counter snipers on them.
You can see the counter sniper roof right there.
Yep. Which appears to have more of a slope.
It is more slopey.
It's a little bit more slopey.
Good slope, bad slope.
We don't know if President Trump has been shot. We know he hit the ground. We do not know if President Trump has been shot. He's up. He's up. Shots are still continuing to be fired. He's giving a thumbs up, everybody. He's giving a thumbs up.
Here we see some more competency from the Secret Service.
Breaking news right now. This is
She
Vanessa
decides to draw her weapon.
Reporting to you live from Butler, Pennsylvania. We hear shots
then
fired at the rally
decides
not
to
10 to 15 minutes after
not
President
holster
Trump
her weapon.
arrived. He hit the ground. Unheard of yet if he has been hit by gunfire. Secret Service quickly erupted.
You can see the guy
See
there.
the snipers on the building behind the...
So there you go. So yeah, they had time.
Yeah.
And then it turns out, as more information has come out, they had at least 30 minutes of time.
Yeah. I found on Google Maps the location where the Trump rally was at, by the way. Yeah, there are literally no buildings there.
Except for the 2. 3.
So there's the AGR International building, which is where the sniper was. Then there's the Butler Farm Show buildings, which are about 600 or 700 feet away, give or take. And then there's the 3 buildings that are directly behind him. And the only building that they didn't have agents on that had line of sight was the AGR building.
Yeah. Yeah, so immediately people started sleuthing around to figure out why Secret Service was so incompetent after videos like that started popping up. It was like, apparently you guys knew he was there. And oh, look, the counter snipers were watching him for at least a couple of minutes. Oh, I had him actually in sight for like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Oh, that's worse. Now I can understand you're maybe checking to confirm, hey, is this another sniper team that's on the roof or whatever, but that should take all of 10 seconds, if that. Say, no, there's no one on the roof. Oh, okay, I'll make sure there's no one on the roof. But
correction. Now there's no one on the roof. Wait.
Corporal, yes, sir. You see that mountain? Yes, sir. I don't want to.
I don't want to. Correct.
Yeah. So then people started questioning: were they short-staffed? Was Secret Service understaffed for the job? And Secret Service said, no, we actually had increased security. Hold up.
Oh my God.
None were slope certified, except the 2.
You can literally go to Google Maps Street View and it goes into the parking lot of the building where the shooter was at.
Oh.
And you can see the building he was on, and you can see the building that the counter sniper was on from one angle in the parking lot. And the building he was on is literally, it's like this.
Right. It's just
and the other one's like this.
Uh-huh.
Like, the Slopey argument is so stupid.
Tell me you're a DEI hire without telling me you're a DEI hire, while also telling me you're definitely not covering something up while you're covering something up.
The only thing that I can think of as to what he actually meant by that argument is that it wasn't slopey enough. Like, it didn't have a steep enough slope to give the sniper cover. Whatever.
You just pulled the same thing Biden did. He was asked if he talked to the director of Secret Service, and I talked to him.
It's fine. Fine.
Kimberly Cheadle is a woman, and not just identifies as a woman. She is a woman.
Well, you assume that somebody in that position. Yeah. Okay. You win. You win. Stop there. Stop while I'm behind.
And yet another revelation that only makes Secret Service brass, namely agency's director Kimberly Cheadle, look more caught off guard during Saturday's attempt on former President Trump's life. It turns out the United States Secret Service had actually increased protection for Trump in recent weeks leading up to the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yet the attack still took place. The impetus for what was supposed to be a higher security for Trump, intelligence about an Iranian plot to assassinate the former president. In a report on the development, CNN cited multiple people briefed on the matter who told the outlet that American officials had obtained intelligence from a human source in recent weeks on a plot by Iran to assassinate Donald Trump. That intelligence, the report said, led to the Secret Service increasing security around the former president in recent weeks. So they had more security there than they would have otherwise. But apparently it wasn't enough. Somehow. Well, that building was the police department's job. And you had an agent there to make sure they were doing it properly? No. Okay. Were they briefed on how to secure the building? Well, they secured the inside of it. Were they briefed on how to secure the building? Well, there's a ladder on there. Did you have someone sitting at the bottom of the ladder or the top of the ladder? No?
I thought the joke was that he brought a ladder.
Well, there was a ladder there outside of the ladder that's on the side of the building.
Allegedly, he did bring a ladder.
Allegedly. Do you guys have decreased in... No, we actually had more security.
We actually beefed it up for this event.
So
throw me a freaking bone here.
So it sounds like that police department's going to be the sacrificial under the bus,
essentially.
Well, see, that the police department they were blaming turned around and said, oh, no, that wasn't us. That was another police department. How many police departments do you have in that building?
Hot potatoes.
Speaking of, this is actually a good time to bring up.
I think we should blame it on the DEI hires.
Yeah. I'll just skip ahead because we already talked about the slopey roof.
Wait a minute. Are these the best that we could get? Are they actually competent?
Well, 30% of them are women.
They are better than competent. They are diverse.
Diversity is our strength. No, it is not.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's one thing that drives me crazy with America's strength is in its diversity. No, America's strength is in e pluribus unum. From many, one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the unity of America that is strong. That's the strength of America is. Yes, we disagree on many things. Yes, we come from all kinds of cultures. Yes, our skin color is nowhere near the same to each other. However, we're all united on the Bill of Rights or something like that.
Allegedly.
That is where America's strength has been. Not
yes.
We're so diverse. We're so stupid. But people in Pittsburgh are getting a little upset because two motorcycle cops were transferred after working at the Trump rally because they weren't supposed to be at the Trump rally. Even though they say we did all the stuff to do that and we escorted the motorcade to the rally. And then when the shots rung out, we assisted in making sure everything was secure at the rally. Yeah, you need to go.
They didn't get the memo, or they weren't?
Two Pittsburgh police motorcycle officers who were injured during the shooting, so they were also injured at former President Donald Trump's rally over the weekend, have been removed from the cycle unit. That decision was sparked controversy and disagreement inside the department. No. Sources told Chief Investigator Rick Earl that those cycle officers were asked to assist with the former president's motorcade to that rally in Butler County on Saturday. And, there it is. Read more. According to Earl's sources, the officers claimed they notified the proper personnel with Pittsburgh Bureau of Police and received authorization to help, but according to the same sources, the Bureau said they didn't get permission. Sources told 11 Investigates that the Pennsylvania State Police requested Pittsburgh motorcycle officers to assist with former President Trump's motorcade Saturday night from the airport in, I'm not even going to try, County to Butler County and back again. Pittsburgh sent 10 officers. Okay. 4 of them, as we exclusively reported, this is 11 News, Pittsburgh. As we exclusively reported Sunday afternoon, were hit by shrapnel when a gunman opened fire at the rally, killing 1 man and wounding Trump and several others. The Pittsburgh motorcycle officers suffered only minor injuries and were treated at the scene. 1 later went to the hospital. Video from CBS News shows that those Pittsburgh officers, just minutes after they were hit with debris, in the stands helping some of the injured, even carrying 1 to safety. But 2 days after their heroic actions, 2 motorcycle unit supervisors were transferred out of the unit. Sources told 11 Investigates the Bureau claimed they never got permission to assist Trump.
Wow.
Hey, I never gave you permission to do your job. What? Yeah. The Fraternal Order of Police President Bob Schwartzwelder. He has the Schwartz. Schwartzwelder. In a time we should be honoring the heroics of these officers, we've created some petty administrative investigation in the midst of a serious political race. Yeah. In the transfer memo, Police Chief Larry Schirotto did not list a reason for the moves, only stating it was, quote, for the good of the Bureau, end quote. Interesting. So in Utah, there's all that. There's so much stuff still coming out with the Trump thing. And most of it doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense. The more that comes out, the less makes sense.
And, I was going to tell you that the thing I discovered on the way in, because you said he wasn't groomed by the FBI or the FBI didn't know about him.
Allegedly.
His parents called the police before the rally started, saying, our son is missing and we're very worried. Oh. Huh. Why are you worried? Well, he took a rifle. It's kind of crazy.
He's off his meds.
Oh, okay. Need you to find our son, Luke. Yeah, we'll find your son. Duke, was it?
Dude.
So, yeah, I would not be surprised at all to find out he was on some watch list. And I'd be even less surprised to find out that he was on some grooming list from the FBI. Because, you know, like we've talked about before with Gretchen Whitmer, she's hated so much that even the FBI tried to kidnap her.
That's true. This whole thing is just so freaking crazy, man. Like, it does not say good things about the current state of our country.
No.
Like, regardless of which side you fall on, it does not say good things about the state of our country. And even worse, that there are people celebrating the attempt.
Oh yeah,
you know, I'm sure if there was an attempt made on Biden, there'd be people on the right that would be excited about it too. And that's deserve equally horrendous.
And they deserve every bit of repercussion that comes because of it.
Yes. It just is. This is not the way.
No. And
on either side, either way you cut it, it's just not the way.
One thing that I'm loving so far that's come out of this, the silver lining of all this, is it seems as though it's actually humbled Trump. Mr. Unhumble. I'm Christian. I don't repent because I don't feel I have the need to repent, but I'm Christian. That's not how that works. However, it seems he's been dished up a piece of humble pie in the form of a 2-2-3 round. And to the point where, so the convention for the National Convention for the Republicans, every day had a theme of make America great again, make America industrious again, make America wealthy again, all those kinds of things. And Donald Trump had them change the theming of every day to each day being more focused on unity instead of focusing on MAGA stuff. Mm-hmm. And when Trump entered the arena, the people weren't shouting Trump, 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 or USA, USA like they usually do. They were shouting fight, fight, fight. It's that event seems to have started a turn, at least on the conservative Republican side. And even some I've seen on social media, some on the left side are saying like, hold on. Especially with some of those headlines that were coming out initially of Secret Service interrupts Trump's speech. It's like, why did they interrupt his speech? But yeah, it seems to be a turning, and Donald Trump, his demeanor when he was at the convention, it looked like he was ready to cry from how I don't know, just like he just seems to be more humble, and the words that he's using, some of the statements that he's put out, you can tell it's not his team putting the statement out because it's still Trump speak, but it's definitely a lot more humble language, and he even points out that something about by the grace of God I'm still here, or something like that. The Lord alone has kept me alive. And so hopefully, because that's been one of the bigger issues with Trump in the faith community is he says he's on board with all that stuff, but he doesn't necessarily show that he's on board with all that stuff. But this might be that turning point, especially if he can maintain that message of unity if he can go forward not saying a word about Joe Biden, basically, and just focus on people's needs of, I want to make it so your paycheck goes further. I want to make it so you're not struggling to get gas or struggling to put food on the table. Focusing on messages like that with how it's going to get fixed, I think he's actually got a really good chance of seeing the landslide that everyone's predicting is going to happen now. Yeah. Any thoughts on any of that before we move on?
Oh,
okay, cool. Cool. So, shifting gears to Utah politics.
Yay. Dumpster fire. Almost as bad as the dumpster fire that is our federal elections.
Governor Cox, just a few days before the Trump rally, on CNN. So you know he's a real good Republican conservative governor. Because CNN always has Ron DeSantis on. Never. Utah Governor Cox says he will not be voting for Trump this election. He says he will be writing someone in. Even though he campaigned on endorsing the nominee for the Republican Party. Whoever the nominee is, I'll support them. And he tries to ho-hum his way around it of, I hope Trump is successful. I hope he does well, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to write someone in.
Like I always do.
So you want him to fail? No, I just feel like I need to take the high ground. I'm above it all. I can disagree better. Carson Jorgensen, who used to be the chairman of the Utah GOP, tweeted out, I refuse to convert to X.
What do they even call it on X now?
Post. Boring. That's boring. What Facebook does. I have a very low tolerance for fake and dishonest people. During the primary campaign, at multiple campaign stops, Cox would say, I will support whoever becomes the party nominee. You know what support doesn't look like? Showing up on CNN and saying, I will not be voting for the Republican nominee. This is not about Trump, nothing to do with him, actually. This is about integrity and just another politician who will say whatever he has to get elected. Joe Biden and the Democrats are destroying our country, from the southern border to the wars in the Eastern Theater. The world is less safe and more expensive. This guy is helping him get back into office by telling well-meaning Republicans not to vote for the one shot we have at getting rid of Biden. I guess disagree better means say whatever it takes to appease everyone, even if you don't mean it. It means pretending to disagree. I don't expect anyone to think or vote the same as me, but I do expect honesty. I do expect you to do what you say. Hashtag better disagree. He's fun. So, yeah. In the same suit, Mitt Romney. J.D. Vance was picked as the VP.
Yes.
By Donald Trump. Mitt Romney, of course, had his 2 cents to say about it. I believe it's from some article or book that he wrote that nobody read until now. It's like, wait a minute. Didn't he say something about Vance? On Wednesday afternoon, less than an hour after Republican Senator Mitt Romney announced that he would not seek re-election next year, The Atlantic published the first excerpt of a forthcoming biography of the Utah senator. Oh, yeah, we talked about this. The excerpt included several passages in which Romney, who will remain in the Senate for over a year until his term ends in January 2025, makes several unflattering comments.
Can't end fast enough.
Here we are looking forward. Everyone else is looking forward to to the election this year.
I just can't wait to not ever have to talk about Romney ever again.
Then there's us. Like, Romney's still there for another 2 years. No.
I just want him gone.
Go away.
Just want him gone.
Make several unflattering comments about his Republican colleagues. The bulk of Romney's ire, at least in this initial book excerpt, was directed at Senator J.D. Vance, the hillbilly elegy author and former Never Trumper who transformed into a staunch supporter of the former president before he began his 2022 campaign. I don't know that I can disrespect someone more than J.D. Vance, Romney said in the summer of 21. According to the excerpt, it's not like you're going to be famous and powerful because you became a United States senator. It's like, really? You sell yourself so cheap? Really?
Pot kettle?
It's okay, Mitt. Maybe someday you'll be president. Oh, wait. A statement that aged like milk. Yeah. How do you sit next to him at lunch? Romney also mused. As it turns out, it's more easy than you might think. Romney, the genteel never-Trumper and 2012 presidential nominee, has partnered with Senator Vance on major pieces of legislation more than once. So somehow he found a way, apparently, to work with him. And Vance said, my job is to do things for the people of Ohio because that's who he represents. If that requires working with people who badmouth me in public, then that's what I'll do. Yeah, that's... Romney's office did not respond to Insider's request for comment. I wonder why. It's okay, Business Insider. He doesn't respond to comment from his constituents either, so... I love Vance's response. He's a grown man. If he has a problem with me, he should talk to me about it, not whine to a reporter about it. That's the thing, though. He's not a grown man.
You know, I've never supported somebody that I've known nothing about as quickly as I did when I found out that Romney didn't like him.
It's the best endorsement you can get, really.
Like, before I ever researched who J.D. Vance was or any of his policy or any of the things he's voted on or sponsored or anything like that, I found out Romney didn't like him, and I was instantly like, I'll do my research later. I'm okay with him. It's fine.
This can wait.
This can wait.
Yeah.
Because if Romney doesn't like him, he's got to be a good guy.
Yeah, because initially it's like, okay, the left hates him mostly because Trump picked him, I'm guessing. And then Mitt Romney came out and said, oh, no, he's actually probably good.
I mean, he has like an 80% on the Freedom Index. Granted, he's only been in for like a year, but...
That's 30% more than Romney has, so...
At least.
At least. It's a solid F, Romney. Solid F, Romney.
Yes.
Double Ententes is the name of the show.
Satchel of Richards.
Satchel of Richards. You may ingest them.
Entire Satchel of Richards. He has a 41% lifetime.
41. It's even less.
Mitt has a 41% lifetime.
So,
and his all-time low was 28% in the 2019 to 2020 congressional year.
Probably because he was passed in favor of stupid mandate crap.
It was most likely because it was the first or second year of his term, and he thought he could get away with it, and it would get memory hold.
And it did.
And it did.
Yep. Yeah.
So there's that. So, yes, J.D. Vance, because Romney hates him. In fact, that's a campaign slogan you can run on. Vote for me because Romney doesn't like me.
Romney hates me. Say no more.
Say no more. Say no more.
All right. This one should be fun. Salt Lake Tribune.
Oh, yay.
Commentary. God did not save Donald Trump.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean,
this is Shane Claiborne, who he's an activist. If that's your first title. Author and co-director of Red Letter Christians, the views expressed by this commentary do not necessarily represent those of Religion News Service of the Salt Lake Tribune. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And he writes, I'm glad Donald Trump is alive, and I'm quite confident God is too. But my understanding of Christian theology makes me certain that God did not save the former president from assassination. Nearly immediately after word of the shooting broke, pastors and politicians took social media to thank God for saving Trump. God protected President Trump. Senator Marco Rubio of Florida posted on X. Franklin Graham chimed in. Robert Jeffries, senior pastor at First Baptist Church in Dallas, said it was a demonstration of the power of Almighty God, calling it inexplicable apart from God. Jeffries, a longtime Trump supporter, went further. I believe God spared Donald Trump's life for the purpose of calling our nation back to its Judeo-Christian foundation. Okay. Just right there. I see nothing wrong with those statements.
They're all I believe statements.
Mm-hmm.
So, people can believe whatever they want.
Uh-huh. And then, aside from that, if that bullet was a quarter of an inch to the right, what does the country look like?
It's a fair question.
Because one of the first things I noticed was there were 0 towns and cities being burnt, destroyed, and looted by Republicans after Donald Trump was shot.
Yeah.
0. In fact, the bulk of conservative stuff turned to statements like this of, praise God that didn't happen. Thank God he's still alive. Why? Well, as we mentioned before, things are a little on edge across the country. And I don't know about you, but I feel like if that bullet was a quarter inch or more to the right, we might actually see cities with fire and gunshots. And I don't know, what's that word for when two ideologies within a country are
Civil
literally
war?
fighting each other? Civil war. Huh.
We were about 2 millimeters away.
Yeah. Constitution's hanging by a thread. Yeah, and that thread apparently is less than a quarter inch thick.
We were so close to civil war that Trump's toupee was disheveled by it.
Disheveled.
Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah. 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 Well, that doesn't mean that God intervened.
Doesn't it?
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I feel like
you can feel how you want. You're wrong, but you can feel how you want.
I feel like, I don't know.
I don't know.
If one man could be the cause of civil war, sparing that man's life
could be.
Could very well be an act of God. Especially when you learn that the gunman was 150 yards away or less. 140, 150 yards.
With an AR-15.
With an AR-15.
How do you miss that shot? Not once, not twice, but 8 to 10 times. How do you miss that shot?
Especially when considering someone like me, and yes, I practice a lot with an AR and other firearms, but I need glasses to see clearly far away. Mm-hmm. And with iron sights and not my prescription glasses or contacts, I can hit a body-sized steel target 200 yards away with no scope, just the iron sights. Consistently. I can do that.
Yeah, when I walked into church on Sunday, one of my friends that knows that we do this, I actually think he listens every now and then because he brings up stuff from our shows every now and then, which is really funny. Hey, Bryce. Good to see you, buddy. We were walking to church, and one of the first things he said to me was, my 6-year-old could have made that shot.
Exactly.
Like, with any one of my guns. Not just my AR. Any one of my guns.
Yeah.
Like, that's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. Mr. Claiborne goes on. Theology,
I'm sure he does.
The attempt by our finite minds to try to make sense of a God who is infinitely bigger than our imaginations can be tricky. But in this case, it's not that hard to see that there is something wrong with the theology that says God intervened to save Trump, which implies in an awful way that God redirected the bullet into the person who was killed at his rally, or the 2 people who were grievously injured.
Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There was only one bullet that actually had to be redirected, and it had already passed the guy that ended up dying, so...
Right. One of the few things we can say definitively about God is this. God is love. Yes, can you explain what love is, though? This idea is at the heart of...
What's a woman?
Christian's faith. Riddle me that!
If we're going to ask impossible questions for this man to answer...
Impossible questions. This idea is at the heart of the Christian faith. The New Testament says no one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God abides in us. The Apostle Paul wrote, all the law is summed up into this command, love God and each other. Yeah, the Apostle Paul also wrote that if you're doing the gay stuff, you deserve to die. So it's quite loving.
Yes.
You deserve the wrath of God.
Stone them repeatedly, I believe, is what he called for.
If we're going to start quoting apostles left and right, all higgledy-piggledy.
I love how his he goes on here about the non-violence of God and Jesus and how non-violent Jesus was. And I'm like, did you skip the part where he violently went through the temple and threw out all of the hawkers and all of their wares and chased them out with a rose whip? Like,
when people ask, what would Jesus do? Respond with, contemplating your sins while fashioning a whip to chase you out is not outside the realm of possibilities while also flipping over tables.
Yes.
I will cleanse this temple.
And I mean, if you follow that Jehovah of the Old Testament and Jesus are God, then Jehovah of the Old Testament literally salted several cities. So
commanded Moses to hey, you see all the Canaanites there? Yeah, kill them all. Man, woman, child, kill them all.
Yeah.
Oh, why? Well, they're following an ideology that was child sacrifice, so all of them gone. Oh, hey, Moses, by the way, find out everyone in your camp that actually is going to follow you. Okay, yeah, I got them all. They're right here at the head of the camp. Okay, kill everyone else that's not standing with you. Oh. That's where the hymn, Who's on the Lord's Side Who, comes from. Such a happy hymn.
Now is the time to tell.
I bet this guy has sung it multiple times in church.
I doubt it.
No, you're right, because otherwise he would know.
You'd think.
Being the theological expert that he is.
Choose you this day whom ye shall serve.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, yes, God is love. God is also justice and retribution, and those things are not mutually exclusive. Just saying.
Scripture also makes it clear that love is kind and good and gentle. Love is also hard and harsh and stings.
Yes.
God cannot be God if there is not contrary to one thing and another. Love is great. Yes, love hurts also. There has to be that opposition. And when love is firm and harsh, that's your dad raising his voice to bring the fear of God into his children to knock it off.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because
not because he hates his children, but because he loves his children and wants them to be good.
The people that think like this are the ones that honestly believe that laws preemptively arresting and punishing people for crimes they haven't committed yet are morally correct.
Right.
Because they believe it is more morally correct to stop an atrocity from happening than it is to have justice after an atrocity happens.
They favor removing agency before exacting justice.
Exactly. And in my personal belief is that personal agency is so innately sacred that God's love for us is reflected in the fact that terrible things happen. Because he loves us so much and understands that our agency is so sacred that he will not intervene in most cases to stop somebody from doing something with their agency that harms others.
Which is why he has justice.
Yes.
He tells us, you know, be good to everyone, all this stuff. He's be nice, be good, all those things. But he also says, vengeance is mine.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that means in the afterlife they'll pay for it. Not always.
Not always.
Sometimes he brings them to the afterlife swiftly. Whether it is by natural disaster or by telling Moses to go and kill everyone.
A hero lost his life and is getting his reward in heaven.
Greater love hath no man than this, than that he lay down his life for his friends, family.
You know who else lost their life that day? The one who effed around and found out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also getting what he deserves.
And with that, I feel bad for his parents because they lost their son in more ways than one.
Yes.
They lost him physically, but they also realized they lost him long before that. Because even if his parents, we have no idea anything about the parents other than I think they're psychologists or something like that. And outside of that, we don't necessarily know their ideology, how they think, whatever.
And honestly, we shouldn't. They should be allowed to grieve, and they shouldn't ever have to deal with people, and I'm sure they will, but they shouldn't ever have to deal with people heaping the sins of their son and harassing them.
Yes.
They shouldn't have to deal with that. We should be better than that.
Yes.
I doubt we are, but we should be better than that.
That's what makes the story of, you remember the Amish community that got shot up?
Yeah.
And the community rallied behind the shooter's family.
Yeah.
Because they said, we lost our children and you lost yours.
Yeah.
And so they rallied behind the mother and the shooter's family and said, you know, let us help you. Let us take care of you. So they showed what true Christ-like love is and what true forgiveness is. So we are not holding this on you. This was him, and he's done. God's taking care of him now. So let's take care of the family that's left behind.
Yeah. And you know, you go through this article, and I just summarize because it's better to just talk about it than to read all the drivel that he puts in here. But he uses several examples from the scriptures of nonviolence from Jesus and from God. Such as Jesus healing the man's ear after Peter cuts it off and things like that. And it all ties back to the same thing. Because, to quote a small piece here, he says, if ever there was a case to be made for justifiable violence, even to protect the innocent, Peter had it. But Jesus made clear there is no such thing as redemptive violence. That is not true.
Yep.
That is not true. because the instance with that he's speaking about here, specifically when Peter chops off the man's ear, the man that he cut the ear off of was not at fault.
No.
The man he cut the ear off of was innocent. He was a soldier doing his job.
For all he knew, all the information given to him, Christ was a criminal that had to be taken in.
This is literally like stating that a police officer that gets shot for executing a warrant got what he would have deserved.
Uh-huh.
That's literally the parallel that this man draws here.
Officer Johnson, I need you to
true.
execute this warrant. Okay. Reads the warrant. All right.
I should clarify. Executes a lawfully given warrant.
Right.
Because the law of the land at the time was the Roman emperor. The Roman emperor decreed that Jesus Christ had, well, the Roman authority in the area, anyway, had decreed that Jesus Christ had committed a crime and was to be brought in. And the soldiers had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
That was their job. That's what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
They couldn't do anything else. That man, that soldier was innocent.
Yeah.
That's why Jesus healed him.
And then on top of that, adding context, why did Peter have a sword? Because Christ told him to go get a sword.
Yes.
So here, take the money that we have and buy some swords for you guys.
Yeah. He told him.
Why would Mr. Peacemaker tell the apostles to arm themselves?
Yeah.
Because being a peacemaker doesn't mean, hey guys, stop fighting. Stop fighting.
It's
peacemaker makes peace.
I was going to say it's not a peace requester.
Yeah.
It's a peacemaker. you don't make peace.
To this point, to go to an extreme example, the United States created and dropped 2 peacemakers on the sovereign nation of Japan.
Yeah.
Because that's what it took to make peace in the world.
Mm-hmm.
To finally tell everyone to stop it. That is also a peacemaker.
Yeah.
Being willing to use violence in a righteous way to end chaos and to bring peace.
Yeah, I was just telling my mom. I was thinking about Captain Moroni building the towers, digging the trenches. I'm sure there were members within the walls saying, Moroni is an idiot. God will protect us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, we were just talking last week about the letter that he sent to Pahoran.
Yeah.
You know, and how many of the people looked at all the things that Moroni did and thought it was too far.
You're gonna do what?
I'm not gonna lie. I read some of the stuff that Moroni did, and I'm like,
all those that would not agree to freedom were put to death. I mean,
the spirit is willing, but the body is weak right now, man. Like, that hurts my heart.
But think of the alternative.
But think about the alternative. Exactly.
Yeah.
How many generations were saved?
Yeah. Like I mentioned with
how much time did he buy for his civilization?
Mm-hmm.
If Moroni had not existed when he did in the Book of Mormon, how much sooner would Mormon and Moroni Jr.
have happened
right than they did?
Right.
I would say probably a few generations sooner.
And so you're saying that Trump is anointed by God?
No.
What I'm saying is nobody else with better morals has stood up to take the lead. So he's taking this idiot and making an example with him. And it's up to him and him alone to decide what to do with that.
He doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
Uh-huh.
He works with what he's got. Because we're the best that he has.
We have Donald Trump is the best shot we have because we refuse to take better shots.
Yes. Literally any other shot. Let's all just get together and agree to write in somebody else. We could be rid of both of them. But we won't do that.
And in Utah's local election case, looks like Cox is going to be the governor. He doesn't have to be.
He doesn't have to be. Write in Lyman. Write in somebody else. Who cares? Write in who
vote
you
a different
want.
party. Spread the word to votes for somebody else.
Yeah.
It's possible.
That easy.
But we're too comfortable.
Yes, you are.
And I think that's what this turn thing is. Donald Trump was king of the world. Always has been. Yep. He's the king of New York. He's the king. He can get any deal he wants. He can get anything done that he wants. Nobody is above him. Until his life flashes before his eyes.
And right past his ear.
And now he's faced with a very critical decision. And like I mentioned,
to put his shoes on or get carried off the stage.
So far, it seems like he's putting his shoes on.
Sounds like he's putting his shoes on.
So far. And with this dingleberry, the Shane Claiborne, it's like, what was it? The recent assassination attempt should cause us to consider how combustible our country is right now. So divided, so angry, so fearful. It should cause those of us who believe in God to take a closer look at our theology. Yes, it should.
Yeah.
Because without this moment, with some kind of, like I mentioned, Donald Trump never turns his head. And because of where the screen, the screen was that was showing the chart that he was trying to show off, he had to turn his head while also talking to the mic for everyone to hear. And that's something that he never does. It's a visual aid. He never does. But in that one moment, he did that. The moment that the guy pulls the trigger is the moment that he turns his head just enough to not die. That's an awful lot of coincidences, all stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah.
Negligence aside. And last I checked, the Hebrew language does not have a word for coincidence. And the Bible was written in Hebrew. And Christ was Hebrew. There's no word for coincidence. If our theology does not make us more loving, then we should question our theology. In the words of the theologian Barbara Brown Taylor, the only clear line I draw these days is this: when my religion tries to come between me and my neighbor, I will choose my neighbor. Jesus never commanded me to love my religion. He commanded you to love God first.
Your religion should be God.
Well, but they identify as, doesn't matter. First things first. There's a reason the commandments are written in the order that they're written in.
Mm-hmm.
If any of the latter violate the first, you can't do it. Well, it says thou shalt not kill. It says thou shalt not murder. That's why Christ healed the ear of the guy, because he was innocent. It would have been murder for Peter if the guy died. And then Peter would be in trouble, and Peter wouldn't be able to go out
and do Petery things.
Spirit.
Well, his name literally meant the rock, so I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just a little astray.
Yeah,
that's all.
The issue isn't theology trying to make us loving. The issue is nobody knows what love actually is.
Yeah.
That's the issue, Mr. Shane Claiborne.
But they made a whole song about it.
Well, they made a whole song about asking about what it is, but just don't hurt me.
Just don't hurt me.
No more.
Baby, don't hurt me.
What is
don't
love?
hurt me no more.
So yeah, there you go. Any final thoughts, James? Comments, concerns, issues?
Well, I wanted to ask if you guys heard Biden's statements in regards to the attempt.
Yes.
Where he was from the Oval Office. Because I was actually watching that live, which I never watch, but I was. And when I heard him speak, I just turned to my mom and I said, I hope he means it.
Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately, I have my doubts.
Oh, I don't doubt that he thought that he meant it at the time, but I don't know that he remembered his name at the time that he said it.
I don't know that. I don't. Much like how this guy doesn't understand what love actually means. I don't think Biden and all the others that were just a week ago were talking about need to stop Trump at all costs. He's literally Hitler. He's all this. Have no idea what it means when they say, well, this is beyond what we're supposed to, or worse, they do know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Biden is the Antichrist. Like, he has humanity left in him. I'm sure he honestly felt sorry for the families and things that were affected there.
Right.
Anybody with any shred of humanity left would feel it, you know? So I don't doubt that in that moment, he at least partially meant what he said.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the man's just a puppet anyway, so the words weren't his own.
It's what was on the teleprompter.
It's what was on the teleprompter.
Yeah. Versus Donald Trump. This is the only election, if I remember right, this is the only election in U.S. history, at least in modern times, where we have two presidencies to compare to vote for.
Yeah.
Or to avoid entirely.
Yeah.
If you want to go that route. But it's the only one where you have 4 years of one, 4 years of another, compare and contrast the two. And within Donald Trump's 4 years, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And he was told right after doing some event thing, and he's walking to Air Force One, and one of the reporters catches him and asks, what are your comments, thoughts, whatever, Ruth Bader Ginsburg? That's the first he heard about it. Because he was literally on stage talking as it happened. So he gets off stage and a reporter asks him about it. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she was the one in the way of overturning Roe versus Wade and all these Supreme Court things that he was fighting at the time as president, trying to get through. So she was like major political enemy. And his immediate response is, oh, did she die? I hope her family's okay. And it just immediately turns, no prompter, off the cuff. She's immediately concerned for the family, praises her work. So she was justice for a long time. She did a lot of great things as justice and blah, 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 whatever. Versus Joe Biden, who definitely read his statement off a teleprompter, whether or not it was his own.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Crazy world we live in.
Yeah. Where we get to the leading presidential candidates are one that's struggling with dementia and struggles with standing up and walking. The other one has been shot at, has all kinds of court cases against him. They're both old. And who knows how far away from dying. And the country's on the verge of civil war. What can possibly go wrong? But it can't get any worse, right?
Can't possibly get any worse.
Living in history.
Yeah. It doesn't just repeat, it rhymes. Oh, I want to leave you guys with something fun before we sign off.
Can we refer to Trump as Splinter from now on, now that he has a matching ear notch? Wasn't it Splinter was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles rat master that had the little like hole in his ear from fighting Shredder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see why we can't do that now. I think it's appropriate.
Well, I'll leave you with some words from Ronald Reagan.
By its very existence and character, Berlin remains the most compelling argument for an open world. We're reminded of the many traditions of openness and democracy that have marked the history of this city. America missed me.
Missed me.
That was a balloon that popped.
The sad thing is that's about what it sounded like.
Uh-huh.
Out in that open field. Jeez.
Missed me.
Missed me. Didn't even miss a beat.
There we go.
Well, like, subscribe, follow, do
Share.
all the fun things.
Comment.
Share. Thank James for his wonderful contributions today. It's
getting him to shut up. That's the trick.
Yeah,
It
right.
was. It
Well,
was.
thank you for letting me be here to see if I want to be a patriot or not. Get some exposure.
What's the consensus?
Further investigation.
I'm leaning towards looking into it more.
No, I think it's a
Is
great.
that a polite way of saying these guys are nuts? I want to get out of here.
No, I think it's a great thing what you guys do. It still resonates in me what Trevor once said about something to the effect of is when I stand before God, I want a record that I stood up against this. Even though it may not reach every ear, it is my print. But yeah, that inspires me to try and get more involved. And at least being a part of this is that first step. So hopefully I can keep up next time.
My favorite church hymn is "Do What Is Right." And there's a line in the first verse of the song says, "Angels above us are silent notes taking. Then do what is right."
The consequence follow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Battle for freedom in spirit and might. That song's always been dear to me. It's what I try to build my life on.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Maybe on the next Slow News Week, we'll go over favorite hymns.
I like it. The next slow one. So
The next slow
sometime
one.
in 2026.
Or, sometime after the asteroid.
Sometime after the asteroid. Meteor 2025.
Galatians 4:16. Bye.
Did you make an outro clip yet?
Of course not.
Do we have an outro clip? Do we even have an outro clip? Does one exist?
Just waiting.
Just waiting for it.
For an outro. A whole new outro.
It's
A
terrible.
dazzling scene that hardly anyone sees.
All right, I'm going to cut you off.
What's even better is this is at the end.
Yes, it's the best. They still won't know what's
The
going on.
sweet cherry on top.
Sweet cherry on top.
Name that sound.
What radio station does that?
All of them. Is it a morning show?
Probably.
Then yes.
Ah.
All of them. All of them do that.
All right. Red means go.
Red means go, which means I can make this not a giant screw. Stop it.
There's lots of lights. Which red?
This red.
Wrong button. And there's that.
He's got the clap and he's giving it to you.
There's that.
That's how we sync our audio. All right.
Let that sink in.
That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible.
Because singing about the clap to children is not terrible.
It's not terrible. Clapping your hands, man.
I don't know where your mind is.
I don't know about you, but every time I clap my hands, my child starts clapping.
So does mine.
Regardless of what's going on. The clap is contagious.
James, you're a medical person.
In case you didn't know.
How contagious is the clap?
I'm speechless. I don't know.
That moment where you're the tiebreaker in the conversation, you don't know which way to take it.
On a scale of Miss Rachel songs to Blues Clues, how contagious is the clap?
There's a reference.
I've only been a dad for a little while now. But I know exactly what we do with the notebook. It's where we write our clues.
Mm-hmm. And we don't cry.
We don't cry. Nope. All right, we ready? Are we ready to go?
Yes.
If I stalled long enough for you.
Oh, I've been long ready.
Okay.
Aside from not pushing the right buttons.